today special voting started. So that would include persons from, candidates, their spouses, polling agents, election day machinery, persons from the armed forces, a bunch of different people. You register, you are a special voter, and you can start voting from today, from 9 o'clock this morning. So the candidate or an agent can basically go from 9 o'clock and witness, the ballot boxes opening, etc. It's Easter Monday. Yes, it's a public holiday, but the so-called Christian PNM party has put elections in the middle of what would be one of the most special times for the Christian community. But I digress. The EBC last night, Sunday, at 6:23, sent a WhatsApp message to some, phone call to others, nothing official, but Sunday night, hours before special voting is due to start, saying that there's a change in the forms that we need to bring. Now, we have something called the Representation of the People's Act. So everything to deal with elections is detailed. I mean, it's like 400 pages and it's all there. Every single detail, including the forms, all there in law. The forms that the EBC sent out asking for at 6:30, saying, hey, look, we changed our mind. These are the forms that you need to bring in the morning during a public holiday. Those forms are not even the correct requirement based on the law, based on the Representation of the People Act, right? Anyways, I gone with all my forms because I know that is not the right form you're asking for. So I gone with the form you're asking for and the form that is by law. Because, just in case you realize the chaos and you fix it, and then I have to be up and down with you. I work with everything. Reach for the 50. So it's a form 50 and a form 51. And I don't want to confuse you with all the numbers. But anyway, reach there and the special polling presiding officer says, well, I need the appointment of an agent form. I said, well, I'm the candidate, so I don't need an appointment of the agent form. So she said, oh, well, in that case, this is the wrong form, and I'm sitting down there and I'm saying, well, this is what I was told, and would you like to go call the returning officer? Well, the returning officer have nothing to do with today, blah, 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 whatever. Anyways, I have to keep this form though. I say, you could keep the form. I just want to be here because all the running around, I was already late now for the witnessing of the box, the opening of the box. All the running around and all the back and forth, and this form is the wrong form and all kind of thing. I say, I just want to sit down. In talking now, she realized, she's saying, well, you were supposed to have the 66. I said, but ma'am, I have the 66. I had that 66 all the time. But if you would hear me out, if you were listening to me, we got a message from the EBC last night changing the form. I said, I had that form all the time. She said, oh, well, bring the form. That's the form that I need, and you could keep this 51 now. Cool. I show her the form. Here's where my real... The first one, the ad hoc change in the form, and the form is not even what the law requires. That's not even the bad thing in this video. I show her my form 66, signed by a JP as it's supposed to be. She tell me she can't accept the form because the JP signed it and stamp it since April 11th. I say, ma'am, you appreciate that planning, that good planning, would allow for the JP to sign before election day. You can't possibly expect that a JP signs on election day. I would have my form, we would fill it out, and the JP would sign beforehand. She don't want to hear me because she just doing what she trained to do, and that's what EBC tell her. I'm making she work hard. So I said, this is worrisome because special voting is one polling agent with one polling station and is one voter coming in every hour. On election day, it is not going to be the same. So are you telling me that my polling agents need to have their appointments and their declaration of secrecy signed by a JP that's dated that morning Because polling agents, the 70 plus of them that I have for election day, come in for 5 a.m. So how is that working out? I don't know, I just telling you what I was trained to do. So I had to go to the returning officer and say, this is crazy. It's absolutely insane. And the EBC need to work this out in writing. Because, you see, these problems that happen on special voting, you refuse my Form 66 because the JP signed it on the 11th of April is madness. Absolute madness. And it's 151 that are doing this video. I asked the JP, the returning officer, I said, I would require something in writing. I said, because I am making a formal complaint. They took my report of the incident, etc., etc. They said, don't go to the media, please, don't, whatever, because it will bring the EBC into disrepute. I said, well, the EBC has brought themselves into disrepute. But out of respect for the good work that y'all are trying to do, this specific Diego Martin West office, I will hold up and I will wait. But I want something in writing from the CEO that says that she's acknowledged. I say, because when we go to the courts to say this has not been a free and fair election that has been run accordance to the law, I didn't want nobody to put me on a witness box and say, so why I didn't raise the issue? So I'm raising the issue officially, take my report, and I want in writing that you have received such report. And just like the tuna puna and the 10 extra ballots and whatever mistake all you make sure it's in writing that the EBC has made yet another mistake. It's 152. Nothing's been forthcoming. I kept my word and I am here telling you all what is going on inside of the EBC. Now move on to point number, I think this is point number 3 now, because the first was the lack of the communication, the ad hoc, you change the forms. Well, it's now 4. And then the second point was the forms are actually not in alignment with the Representation of the People's Act. And then the third point is you crazily think that my JP should sign it on the morning of election. Now let's move on to something that is very concerning. We have a deadline of today to present a list of polling agents to the EBC. EBC mad? Not only is that nowhere to be found again in the law, it is not a requirement. There's a reason for that. You want to poach my polling agents? You want to intimidate my polling agents? Why do you need to know my polling agents this early in the game? You know when you need to know my polling agents? When they show up on election morning with their forms, their declaration of secrecy and their appointment form. That's the only time you need to know it. You are setting up my polling agents to be victimized and to be poached and to be paid off and to be bribed and to all kind of thing. EBC needs to get their act together. You are not starting off on good footing at all, at all, at all. This is the first day of voting and I'm sorely disappointed. To Trinidad and Tobago though, all they need to come out in all their numbers. And to Diego Martin West, everybody who vote for me, the 10,000 or all that are going to vote for me, as you vote, message 499 walk with your name and say you vote. I know it's supposed to be your business, but keep it to yourself or whatever, because I don't know whether to sign an affidavit or something, because we're going to fight. We have to fight Trinidad and Tobago. Otherwise, we will end up like Venezuela, where we do not understand the concept of free and fair election. So while there is still time to fight Trinidad and Tobago, find your strength and fight. This that I witnessed this morning, and that's why I didn't send a polling agent, because from the time the forms were not in alignment with the law and your method of communication was all over the place, I said, let me go myself and see what's going on. And it is madness going on. It's start bad. EBC needs to fix it and fix it fast. And if you ask me, they need to crush this whole morning, this whole thing, because I need to go and see the box was empty. We start off real bad. EBC needs to fix it. Trinidad, stand and fight. Come out in all your numbers. Come out in all your numbers. We heading to Venezuela. We really headed to Venezuela status.